what I'd like to just talk about is really about the whole progression we've had with MEX. 25 years on, where did we start? How did this all come about? I wrote the initial piece of software a long time ago. And I did it because everything else in the market just cost so much money. And I realized that the people that I was working with, I was working as an engineer, needed a solution that actually was, you know, it did the job, but it was low cost. It didn't have to have all the, actually, it just had to work because so much of the software back then just didn't even work very well. And when we started, we were just very simplistic. The first version of this was actually written in Magic. It was an Israeli piece of software, and I did it while I was still working on site. And I used to do it at night time. And as I said, I used to do it because it kept me away from the mess hall and drinking, and it was just something to give me to fill in time. But I actually saw that there was just a real need for it. First version was in Magic, then we moved on. We ended up making the next version in Access. And the reason why is because of the whole Windows 95 revolution, which to anyone less than 40 years old probably is just going, what the? But Windows 95 was probably the biggest release of software ever known. We had the Access version for quite a long time. We then moved on to doing a Visual Basic version. We then have moved on from there, and we now have gone to the HTML, the JavaScript. And I have to say, when I look at the software now, even though to the average user, when you look at our system, it looks exactly the same as what it did 20 years ago. However, the internals are completely different, and it's much more complex than what you could ever imagine, than when I first, well, more than I can imagine when I first wrote it. What's the future for MEX? The future for MEX is just keeping it exactly the way it is on the outside, so you guys don't see any changes. But on the inside, we may have to cut and gut and reshape and whatever we need to do to fit in with the future of the technology that you are using. One thing I've learned after doing it for this long is you guys have to train all your staff in how to use a system. And so I don't want to have to release a piece of software that requires you to retrain people, so we're going to keep it the same. And we're always going to do the same thing of keep it really easy to use.